Today, we're diving into how a nation can protect itself. We're looking at one source's account of a massive, coordinated attack and breaking down how they handled it, from the high-tech military defense on the outside to the civic response on the inside, and even the philosophy behind it all. So, to really get a sense of the scale here, our source starts with just one word: hundreds. That's how many drones and rockets it says the UAE faced in a single day. I mean, that is an almost unbelievable threat. So how on earth do you even start to protect a country against something like that? Here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the external shield, all the military tech they used to literally stop the attack in its tracks. And then we'll dive into the internal response, which was all about keeping millions of people calm and safe. Okay, let's start with that iron shield. When you've got hundreds of projectiles screaming towards you, your very first line of defense has got to be technology. And according to this source, the system they had in place was seriously advanced. At the heart of this whole defense is something called the THAAD missile system. Now, this isn't your standard air defense. It's an incredibly sophisticated setup designed to hunt down and destroy ballistic missiles while they're still in the air. And just to give you an idea of how unique this is, the source points out that the UAE is one of only 5 countries on the entire planet that has this technology. It's a very exclusive club, and it's really the backbone of their external defense. So the big question is, did it work? Well, the source claims that on the day of the attack, a staggering 137 missiles were fired directly at the country. Just let that number sink in for a second. So, out of those 137 missiles, you're probably wondering how many landed. The answer? 0. According to this source, the shield held perfectly. Not a single missile threat got through. But missiles were only half the story. What about the drones? Well, the source reports an amazing 94% interception rate, but that still means 6% managed to slip through the cracks. So what did that 6% actually mean in the real world? Out of a population of 10 million people, the source reports a total of 3 casualties. Now, every single loss is a tragedy, of course, but that number really underscores just how effective the overall defense was against an attack of this sheer size. But look, protecting a country isn't just about shooting down rockets. It's about protecting the people and making sure society doesn't fall apart. So let's shift gears from the external shield to the internal strategy for keeping everyone safe and, just as importantly, calm. So to stop any panic from setting in, the source lays out 3 key steps they took. First, they advised against any large public gatherings. Second, people were given the option to work from home. And third, this is pretty cool, super specific, localized safety alerts were sent straight to every single resident's phone in their own language. Okay, that all makes sense for residents who know what's going on. But what about tourists? People who are just visiting, suddenly caught in the middle of a massive crisis with absolutely no idea what to do. The source zooms in on the airport, where it says 20,000 tourists were essentially stranded. What happened? Immediately, they were all given food, water, and a place to stay. It turned what could have been a moment of total chaos into one of organized care. And the government's whole mindset seems to be captured in this one message it reportedly sent to all the hotels: keep the tourists comfortable, extend their stays for free, and we will pay you for it. This wasn't just about safety. It was about protecting the country's reputation for hospitality, even while under attack. So when you put these 2 strategies together, the external shield and the internal calm, the result was this incredible sense of stability. The source really makes a point of this. Despite everything that was happening, life went on. Restaurants were open, hotels kept running, and crucially, law and order held up across the entire country. But the source material we're looking at doesn't just report on the events. It actually offers a much bigger, more philosophical way of understanding the conflict itself. And here's a key argument the source makes. This is not a conflict between nationalities. And to back that up, it points out that 500,000 Iranians actually live and work peacefully in the UAE. The conflict, it argues, is about ideas, not about people. The source basically frames this clash of ideas as a simple choice. On one side, you have the destroyers, who use weapons to create chaos. And on the other side, you have the builders, who are focused on creating cities, infrastructure, and a sense of order. And really, that's the final takeaway from the source. It presents this whole situation as a fundamental choice, a moment for the world to decide whether to stand with the philosophy of building in progress or the philosophy of destruction. And this leaves us with one last question to chew on. When a nation uses a powerful defense system, an act of protection, how does that fit in with the act of building? In the really complicated world of modern conflict, where exactly is the line between protecting what you have and building what comes next?